Hello everyone, you are welcome to this class where we'll be making this V-shaped turban cap with padded and bow design using raw silk fabric. For this design which I'm working on, I'll be making use of raw silk fabric and 1 yard of fabric is enough for this design. This design has a V-shaped band, it has the base which is lined, it has a padded design on it, and for that padding that goes around the cap, making use of fiber of which you can use foam in place of it. And then there's the bow design which is going to be pleated, and the bow design also has a loop on it. This particular tutorial illustration, the cap does not have a handle, but then you can decide to add a handle to yours. It depends on your preference. Having known all this, I will start stating the measurements required for each step of the tutorial. What I have here is two different pieces of fabric, and this is going to serve as the band. The measurement is 15 inches for the width by 13 inches for the length. 15 inches by 13 inches cut out twice, two different pieces of fabric for the V-shaped band. Thereafter, I also have two pieces of fabric for the base, and I'm using 25 inches for the length by 13 inches for the width. 25 by 13 inches cut out twice because we are going to be lining the base. However, lining the base is optional and depends on you. Then coming to the fabric for the bow design, what I have here is 30 inches for the length by 15 inches for the width, 30 by 15 inches. We're also going to be padding this and be using wadding or padded for it. And for the padded design that goes around the head, I have 30 inches for the length by 8 inches for the width, 30 by 8 inches, and I'll be using fiber for padding. For the loop, I have 4.5 inches by 12 inches. Now moving on to the tutorial, I will get the fabric for my pleated band. I'll fold it in twice just as you see me doing the video and sew down from one end to the other on my sewing machine. Thereafter, I'll flip over to the other side and start making my pleats. So as I pleat, I will sew down and repeat the same thing for the second piece of fabric to have this. So these two pieces of fabric have already been sewn. I have my band. So I will get it, place one on each other in a slanted pattern so as to get that V shaped. Then I will use my pins to hold it in place at the middle so as to secure it. Then I will keep it aside and we'll move on to the next step. So for the next step, I'll get two pieces of fabric for my base. I'll fold each piece of fabric into two equal halves so as to locate the midpoint and then make a notch at the midpoint. Also repeat the same thing for the other piece of fabric. Having done that, I'll get the first piece of fabric and place it with the fine side facing me. I will get my band, fine side facing fine side of the band facing fine side of the first fabric. I'll get the second fabric, fine side facing fine side. I'll place on my sewing machine and sew from one end to the other. Now I have my fabric all sewn. This is the inner part of the cap, while this is the outer part of the cap. So this is the front view. You can see the V-shaped band, and then this is the back view. So I'll set this aside. Now I will get the fabric for the full padded design that goes around the cap. I'll fold this fabric into two, fine side inside, wrong side outside, and sew it down from one end to the other. Now after sewing my fabric, I have it this way, and I've sewn it, I've turned it inside out. I'll get my measuring tape to take the measurement, and I have 3 inches, sorry, 3.5 inches. Then I will get my fiber, 6 inches by 26 inches, and then I'll fold it into two equal halves and pass it inside my fabric. Now after folding and passing it inside the fabric, I have it this way. You can see with the 26 inches of my fiber, there's excess fabric at the edge. So that is that. Now I will get my turban cap, place it down, then place that padded design on it. Now to get the perfect fitting for the padded design, get your turban cap and place it on your dummy head as shown in the video. Then you place your padded design and position it very well. So with this you'll be able to get the edge, and then I can pin it down. If you don't place it on your dummy head and you sew it straight just by placing it straight on your fabric, the padded design is going to end up being smaller than the cap. But with it on your dummy head, you get the perfect fitting. So I've gotten the fitting for both edges. You can see that the padded design is a bit bigger. That's how it's supposed to be. So I'll go ahead to fold this into two equal halves as you see me do in the video. Then I'll stitch from the band down to the edge, stitch from the band to the end. And then this is my work. I'm done stitching it down. So the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the measurements. Head circumference is about 11 inches. Then I've sewn it down because what we were using for the band is 15 inches. So I'm trimming off the edge. But the raw silk fabric stretches a lot, so you can also use 10 inches or 10.5 inches as your head circumference. Now I have my thread and making the running stitch. I'm going to be starting from the band. Yes, so a little bit, I'll just give a little allowance and just start from the band part. Start passing my needle and thread in and out until I get to the very end. I will secure my thread, cut off the excess thread, and then get back for us to continue. At this point, I'm done making my running stitch through the cap, so I'll go ahead to turn it inside out to the fine side, and this is it. Remember, for the padded design, always ensure that the sewn part is at the middle. So I'll set this aside. Now coming to the bow design, I'll just get my fabric, fold it into two equal halves, and then we're going to be padding with the wording. And then for my wording, I'm supposed to use 15 inches by 15 inches, then sew round all edges. But what I had, this is a leftover, and it was a bit smaller than the fabric. So I've gone ahead to sew round it, and this is what I have. I left a little bit of allowance for turning my fabric inside out at one end, and that's what you see me doing. You see me turning my fabric inside out. After turning my fabric inside out, this is it. So I'm going to fold my fabric into two equal halves so that I can locate the middle. Then I will get my chalk or my pen, and then make a bit of marking, make a little bit of markings at the midpoint so that it will be easy for me to locate. And as soon as I'm done with that, we are going to be pleating it and then sewing through it so as to form that bow design. At this point, I have my design already tacked. I created my pleats and then tacked it through with my needle and thread. So this is it. And then I'm going to get my turban cap, and we're going to be adding this to our turban cap. So right here, I have my turban cap on my dummy head. Now always work with your dummy head, especially so that you get the perfect fitting for it. And then you see me placing my bow design on it. Please watch the way it's positioned. Okay, so you get the right position for it. This is me trying to place it in order, and then I'm going to now pin the right edge down to the padded design, and also go over and pin the left edge down to the padded design and sew through the middle. Then I'll later go back to sew through the end using my needle and thread. So now I'm done tacking. I tacked off, that is off camera, tacked the middle and both sides. And then for the other side, you can apply your gum to glue it in. So that is how it is. So this is it. My bow design is ready. Then I will get the fabric for my loop. I folded it into two and I had it sewn from one end to the other end. So I will now go ahead to turn the loop fabric into two equal halves. Sorry, I will turn it to the fine side, I meant to say. Now after turning it, I'll place the sewn part at the middle, and that is it. So I'm now going to get this and place it on my bow design. Just found out that the 4.5 inches I used for the width was a little too big, so I had to still fold it while placing it on my bow design. So this is me placing it on my bow design, and I'm trying to tighten it to give it that look and that fitting. Then I'm supposed to get both ends, join it together, place it on my sewing machine and stitch it down as shown in the video. Or I can decide to fold in the edges or cut off the excess fabric and then gather both edges and position it at the back of that padded design. Then use my needle and thread to tack it at that point, then tack it down on my turban cap so it won't be visible and I will not need to sew again on the sewing machine. So this is it. Then after gathering it at the back of the padded design, I will now use my needle and thread to tack it down to my turban cap. So this is me now trying to tack down the bow design. But first, that was where I hid it in at the back of the padded design. And then when it comes to tacking the loop to the turban cap, you tack both the front and also tack the back so that you can secure it firmly. I'm going to use my needle and thread. It just requires you to pass it in and out from the cap to the bow, from the bow to the cap in that order. So now that that is done, we have tacked down that part to the cap and the pattern design is no longer falling off. We'll move over to creating that bow design at the front. So gather the left side of the bow design. Please watch the video very well and then drag it in and place it down to the midpoint where you have the loop fabric. So please watch the video to get it. You just drag the edge of the left side and then place it on the loop fabric. You can arrange it and place it behind the right side of the bow. So that is that. And then I'll get my needle and thread and I'll be tacking that folded end, that part of folded down to the bow, down to the loop design. I'll use my needle and thread to do the tacking, and that's it. So as soon as that is done, I'll secure my thread, cut off my excess thread, then go ahead to check for loose ends, finish it up, and have this place on my dummy head to show us the final outlook. So this is it. This is a very pretty and beautiful design. You can use any other fabric in place of raw silk for this. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something new. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on YouTube as Jenie Concept.